welcome everyone to our Awaken Your Wild Woman Within circle. So for those of you that haven't done our circles before, I'm just going to give you a little brief overview of what this is going to look like. So we are going to open the circle. So we're going to call in the elements and directions to support us to create a sacred container. We're then going to dive into exploring the wild woman archetype and what she means for us. And then we're going to do a shamanic journey where we really do a deep dive into who is our inner wild woman. And then we're going to have some reflections afterwards. We're going to close our circle, and then I'm going to be here for if anybody has any questions or wants any further guidance on this. So one of the things that's really important in this circle is to remember that you are always at choice. So it's really important that you keep yourself safe and comfortable and do whatever is right for you. So if you need to get up and move around, that's fine. If you need to have your camera off, that's fine. Although we would love to see you because it makes such a difference when we can get that energetic connection between us going. Please take care of your own needs. If you need to take that little bit of time out, please do. And just to remember that this is being recorded and there's obviously quite a few people on the call. However, everything is confidential here. So, or let's say we're not going to go and talk about other people's stories here. We can absolutely share our own experience. And this video will be shared with those people that, here's Lucy now, is going to be shared with those people who've requested it. So, welcome to Lucy. So I said we've got Lucy and Rebecca on the call. So this is perfect timing because I'm just about to open our circle. So the way that we do this is I'm going to call in the elements and directions to support us in this sacred space. And I'm going to invite you to turn to the direction and repeat hail and welcome after me as we do that. Now I'm going to keep my face towards the camera because otherwise you can't hear me. So I'm going to invite you to begin with finding the direction in which the sun rises. So find the east. And I'm going to be using my rattle here. So I call upon the ancient spirits, the east, and the element of air. So the energy of eagle and butterfly and all those that fly, where the sun rises and the dawn breaks. Thank you for bringing your powers of clarity, communication, and insight to our circle. Hail and welcome. And then we're going to turn to the south. So you're going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. And we call upon the ancient spirits of the south and the element of fire, bringing in the energy of lion and dragon and all those of fang and claw, where the sun rises high in the midday sky. Thank you for bringing your powers of courage and passion and determination. Hail and welcome. And then we call upon the ancient spirits of the west, that's behind me at the moment. So the element of water, with the essence of whale and otter and salmon and all those that swim, where the sun sets and our ancestors dwell. Thank you for bringing your powers of compassion and healing and dreaming to our circle. Hail and welcome. And then finally, we call upon the ancient spirits of the north and the element of earth, with the essence of wolf and stag and bear and all those of horn and hoof, fur and paw. Thank you for bringing your powers of strength and groundedness and rebirth and manifestation. Hail and welcome. We're also going to put our hands towards the ground and offer our gratitude for Mother Earth below us, for holding us and sustaining us. Thank you, Mother Earth. And we're also going to lift our arms up to Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, the Star Nations, again for holding us in this sacred space. And then also giving gratitude to ourselves, putting our hands on our heart for our own little soul for being here in this moment. Hail and welcome. And hail and welcome to you all. One of the things that I love to do, and there's a lot of us on the call today, is to bring a little bit of our own energy into this. So I'm just going to invite you to write in the chat one word of how you are feeling, just so we can bring that energy in. And what's really important is we're not masking anything. We're not pretending everything's hunky-dory if it is, if it isn't. We are being really brutally honest about how am I feeling in this moment. So we've got floating, shaky, tired, warm, fuzzy, flow, frazzled, grateful, settled, crappily hormonal, love that. Yeah, me too. Joyful, calm, curious. Any more? I'm feeling excited. I'm pretty excited. And I'm feeling a little bit wild. I've even put my leopard print top on because I'm feeling, you know, a little bit primal, a little bit, I'm just so excited to share all this with you. Can I just ask, if you're not already on mute, could you put yourself on mute? It'd be really helpful if you could do that. And if you can't, I might just see if I can make Rebecca our co-host, and see if Rebecca can do that. Let me just, bear with me one moment. Oh, I can make her a host. I don't want to make her a host. Hang on one moment. There we go. Okay. So, we've got a few more words just come in. Let me just have a quick look. So we've got content. Content is always a good one. So this is a wonderful time to have a circle like this. We are just coming up to Imbolc this weekend, and Imbolc is the Celtic festival, which is the beginning of spring. Imbolc means in the belly, and we're moving from the energy of the winter and the Cailleach towards springtime, so into Imbolc and into the Virgin Goddess Bridget, who also is known as the Virgin Goddess. And one of the wonderful things about the essence of the word virgin is that actually it meant free woman. It meant a woman who is beholden to herself. And this is exactly what we're talking when we talk about the wild woman archetype. So this is a great opportunity to deep dive. We've got the moon is waxing, so we've got the opportunity to build our energy. And also we're coming to the end of the year of the snake, and we're just about to dive into the year of the fire horse. So this is a great opportunity for us to continue to perhaps recognize, where are we suppressing our wild woman? Can we shed a little bit of whatever's holding us back? So when we launch into the year of the fire horse on the 17th of February, can we hit the ground running? Can we already have the excitement there and our inner fires lit, so we can truly embody our wild and true selves? And I wonder, when was the last time that you felt truly wild? Have a little think about it. When was the last time that you felt free and wild and unrestrained? And can you even remember that? You know, is this something that has happened recently, or is this a distant memory? And for some of us, unfortunately, that can often be a distant memory. When were we last wild? What were you doing when you were doing that? And if anybody wants to share with the chat, that would be really lovely. And also, do you remember that feeling of being little, being small, when you're, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3, maybe even 4, where it was before, hopefully for you, it was before, you know, being constrained. So we might have felt wild and free and curious and playful and imaginative and so excited to explore the world and be wild and free and see what our body was capable of. All of those wonderful things, so where we're connected with nature, and nature is our playground. I wonder if you can remember that, because I certainly can. But then along came school and the different structures that we had to conform to, right? So along came there being told to be quiet, be still, stop shouting, stop being too much. And all the shoulds came in, and all the shouldn'ts, and all the expectations. And our little wild and free soul got squashed by the expectations of society, just trying to control us, to keep us easy to manage as children. It might have come in the form of, don't touch that. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't touch your body. That's naughty, that's dirty, right? And so we learned. We learned that it wasn't safe to be ourselves, that our wild self wasn't always welcome, very much wasn't always welcome in those spaces. So we learned to suppress her and squash her and hide her. And we might have learned to people please and to say all the right things. And eventually, maybe she gave up. Maybe she got quieter and quieter until we almost forgot about her. But she's still there. She's still within you. She's never left. So let me share a little bit about myself, because I'm a self-professed wild woman. I love to embody my wild energy, my eros, my sensuality, my impulsiveness, and that comes with being a little bit neurospicy as well. But for my work, I'm an international empowerment coach and firewalking instructor. I mainly work with women. I run wild and warrior and wise women retreats in the Lake District, and I am a shamanic and energy healing practitioner and teacher, and I'm a firewalking guide. So this wild energy is something I embrace in my everyday life. I absolutely love to spend time outdoors and to be in nature and explore my wild, and I love to really embody the wild within me as well. So my story was pretty similar to what I just expressed there, that being squashed, that being suppressed. And I really felt that when I was younger and I was at school. And I did do some wild and adventurous things when I was younger. I rebelled against my family, and instead of studying English and being a good girl, I went and studied outdoor studies, which was in the Lake District, and I basically spent 3 years rock climbing, mountain climbing, getting very, very drunk. And I came out with a degree in outdoor studies with expedition management and also environmental science, which is a really important part of my journey. And I ended up diving into that journey a little bit deeper because of my love of the environment. And I really embrace that element of myself, that really wanting to understand the land. That's, I guess, my shamanic roots come from that. And so I ended up working for the government as a conservation advisor. And so I really I embodied and embraced that by working on different rewilding projects. And at the same time, I joined the army as well. So during the weekdays, I was saving the planet, I was a tree hugger, and at the weekends, I was a weekend warrior, essentially. And so all of this kind of fulfilled some of that wildness that I was seeking, that I was longing for. But eventually it got too much. Eventually I felt squashed in the systems that weren't meant for me. You know, the systems, the patriarchal systems that we're all in those organizations forced to work within, all the structures. And I couldn't cope anymore. My wild got too big and she got too loud, and I had to escape. So I escaped from those institutions and was able to set up my own business, which I've been doing for quite a few years now. And initially that was about reconnecting with people with nature and reconnecting people with themselves. And then all of the empowerment work that I'd done in the army and the leadership work has been creeping back in, and here we are now. And so my mission is to empower women to step into their power. I care so deeply about the planet and people, the environment, and I truly believe that it's women that are going to change the world. Women like us, step by step, day by day. And we're going to talk about this later on. It doesn't have to be anything big. But what it requires for us to do is to remember who we are, to remember our wild. So I'd love us to explore, who is the wild woman? So what is the wild woman archetype? And what does she mean to you? Because she's going to be different for each and every one of us. Our inner wild woman is completely unique because we're unique. So what she embodies or what she means to us is going to be unique to us too. And again, I would love you to drop down in the chat what it is what qualities you feel that the wild woman possesses. What does she have? So, is she authentic? Is she fearless, courageous, brave? Oh, we got him starting already. Curiosity, independence, yes. Confident, love it. Hell yeah. Free, powerful, yes. Courageous and creative, finding freedom, confident in her body. Yes, confidence for sure. Fierce, authentic based on how their body feels. Yes, absolutely. Liberal, compassionate. You're coming up with some great ones here. I'm loving it. I've got a whole list of my own, so I can add to that. But these are doing great. Strong, a leader, unashamed, yes. Fearless, yeah. What else have I got? Primal. She's strong. She embraces her shadow. She's not afraid to dive deep and go within, right? She's creative. She's playful. She's untamed. She knows herself. She knows her dreams. She knows her desires. She embodies her eros, her sensuality, her life force energy, her connection to nature. Oh, we've got some more coming here. Let's have a look. Unashamed, fearless, unapologetic, embracing my crone energy. Yes, Andrea. Intuitive, playful. Yep, absolutely. She's really aware of her own cycles and the cycles of nature, whether that's the seasons, whether it's the moon. She really operates from her gut, like from her intuition and her instinct. So she's not operating from what somebody else thinks she should do. She's operating from her own sovereignty. So she's sovereign. She's brave enough or brave to speak her truth always. So she doesn't care what other people think. She's outspoken. She's loud. Or she doesn't have to be, but she can be if that's part of her wild for her, right? What else have we got? She's vulnerable. The wild woman is vulnerable, you know. She leans into her vulnerability, and actually her vulnerability is a strength. And she has not only sensual power, she has sexual power as well. She's a mammal. She's either in those phases of beginning or creativity, or perhaps she's shifted into that space where she's perimenopausal and menopausal and is in this space where her energy shifts, and she can still be all of those things, yet she's there to support the younger generations. So this wild woman is really magic. She's a total goddess badass, right? Really being her true authentic self. But I wonder how many of you here are able to embody your wild woman at all times. Or do we censor ourselves? Do we feel it's safe for us to do so? That's a big question, isn't it? Because sometimes, or certainly in the past, if we think about the witch trials, for example, it would not have been safe for us to be in our wild space. And that's another one of the reasons that we've been suppressed, we've been squashed, we've been domesticated, we've been tamed. Now, I say it's time to untame ourselves and undomesticate ourselves, and we're all going to do that in a time that's right for us. So what happens when we do abandon our wild? And I really would again invite some more reflections in the chat. What do you feel happens to you when you abandon your wild? We've got tension, shrink, yeah, feeling oppressed, feeling stressed, numbness, going through the motions. Yeah, that's a big one, Natalie. Yeah, feeling lesser, unworthy, not my true self, loss of color, constraints, disconnect, distortion. Yeah. Feeling trapped. I can certainly relate to all of these, and I imagine many of you can as well. Small, yes. Frustrated, apathetic, angry, unmotivated. I'm not quite sure what that first word is. Oh yeah. Andrea is saying imprisoned for sure. And that's definitely one of the ways that I felt. And there's something there about maybe a fear, destabilized, thank you. There's something there about the fear of being too much, which does make us shrink, doesn't it? And I know for me, it was a tendency to people please. So much people pleasing because I was too frightened to be my true self. And that leads to us feeling invisible and small and trapped and miserable and perhaps disconnecting from our bodies. So I know that when I was younger, I was so much in my head and I just kind of forgot there was anything from the neck down. I've really had to reconnect with myself in a very, like conscious way. When we abandon our wild, we can also sometimes feel shame. You know, we can feel shame around that. And we can also feel that there's a need for external validation. So rather than trusting our own selves and our own inner wisdom, we seek that from elsewhere. You know, we ask other people, we ask for external validation, when actually it's all within us anyway. And then there are also consequences for not expressing ourselves, like our rage, for example. When we suppress our anger and our rage and those really strong emotions, you know, that's not good for our bodies. And this, you know, that could be a whole other Zoom session, but essentially we are not being true to ourselves. And so none of this is any good for us, is it? That suppression of our wild does not serve anyone. Well, it doesn't serve us for sure. And in my opinion, in my the way that I feel about this is it doesn't serve anybody in our society. It doesn't serve anybody in our families and our circles of friends. We've got some more comments about external validation is a mood killer. Yes, for sure. So we can see how there are all of these wonderful positive qualities of the wild woman, and yet when we suppress them, we feel very differently. So we're going to have an opportunity to really explore those positive qualities of the wild woman. We're going to do some imagining. We're going to be doing some visualization and journeying to really feel into what those qualities are for us and how we can bring them into our lives on a more daily basis, or perhaps even every instance in our lives. First of all, I would love you to share with me, who are your favorite wild women? Like, who do you think, oh, wow, she's really got this? Who is she? Who is the woman that makes you go, wow, she's really embodying her wild? I would love to aspire to be her. Or, oh, yeah, Kat Shaw, top one on the list there, absolutely. Miriam Margolyes, yeah, she's one of my faves too. Nan Shepherd, yep. Gillian Anderson, yes. Myself when I do it, I love it. Oh, me, that's very sweet, Claire, thank you. Oh. So I'm going to go back to like the first woman and Lilith. Have you come across Lilith, who was Adam's partner, who got cast out of Eden for refusing to submit? So she's my top number one wild woman badass. We've also got, who else? Oh, the goddess Kali. We have got Boudica. Have you come across Boudica, who defeated the Romans and she burnt down London and Colchester? I have a beautiful bright red VW van and she is called Boudica, to put all my firewood in the back of. Who else did I have? So Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves. Frida Kahlo, she's a fave. And actually, I was reflecting on this when I was younger. I used to really like Madonna, and she was just a bit of a trailblazer, wasn't she? She would really kind of go outside of the box. So she was absolutely one of my favorites. Love Lady Gaga. Anybody else? I'm going to add Rebecca Shields to my list as well. And I'll go for Lucy too. Although I think Lucy does it in a beautiful, what's the word? Very spiritual way, shall we say. Okay, so it's really important to remember that as we go through this next part, that we're going to embody our wild woman in different ways that are completely unique to us, because you are the only you, and your wild woman is completely unique to you. So we're going to do a journey. So a journey, which is when I'm going to do a guided meditation, and then we're going to the beat of the drum, and then I'm going to leave you to listen to the beat of the drum and continue your journey and go wherever you are meant to go. So this is an invitation. It's an invitation to lean into the unknown, to lean into your curiosity, to lean into the mystery about what might come up for you, what might be really present for you as we go through this exploration of the wild woman. So the journey process is, I'm going to be using my drum, which I'm just going to bang as a little bit of a demo for you. So hopefully you can hear this. And I'm going to be talking as I drum. And then I'm going to get to a point in the meditation where it's time for you to go solo, for you to go your own way, whatever way is right for you. And the drum beat is going to speed up like this. And then I'm going to bring us back at the end. So that drumming, continuous drumming, is going to be for about 10 minutes. Now, for those of you who are familiar with shamanic journeying, have done this before, you can absolutely go your own way, work with your own guides, and see where you go. For those of us that are new to journeying, this is like it's like a step into the dream world. So we're going to use the beat of the drum to help us to just shift our brain state into more of a trance state, to make us really open to receive the wisdom that we need. And as I said before, there's no right or wrong in this. You can't get it wrong. Sometimes we can get really strong visuals. So you might have some very clear imagery. Sometimes people don't see images as much, but they have more a felt sense. And sometimes there's just a knowing. And sometimes it's enough to just do what we call ride the beat of the drum. So you simply close your eyes and you just listen to the beat of the drum. And that can be enough. The beat of the drum, or the beat of the drum symbolizes the first sound we hear as a human being, which is the sound of our mother's heartbeat. So maybe lean into it in that way. And just trust that whatever you receive is exactly right for you in this moment. When we do this, it can be really helpful to find ourselves an anchor that we can come back to. So if at any point you feel a little bit dysregulated, or you feel like it's not going how you want it to go, perhaps you could come back to the breath. Perhaps you could come back to the feeling of your body just weighted against the weight of your body against the ground. Or perhaps you just come back to listen to the beat of the drum. Okay, so you've got an anchor to bring you back. And of course, you're at choice. You don't have to sit still or lie still and close your eyes. You can get up and move. You can do whatever feels right to you in this moment, because it's your moment, okay? You get to do it your way. So I'm going to give you a minute to just go and find yourself somewhere comfortable or settle in. You might want to get a blanket. If it's really bright, you might want to turn the light off or get a blindfold. Just have something that can cover your eyes. And yeah, I'm just going to give you a couple of seconds to get yourself comfy. I'm going to have a drink. Okay. So let's just take a moment to settle into wherever we're resting. So perhaps take a deep breath in, all the way down into the belly, and let the breath out And as you do, just see if you can either imagine that you're fogging a mirror with the breath, really opening and relaxing the jaw, or you might want to make a noise or a sound as you exhale. So let's do that again. Deep belly breath and perhaps there's a noise, perhaps there's a fogging of that mirror. We're inviting ourselves to loosen our jaws, to loosen up our bodies. And I invite you to continue that breathing, really focusing on the exhale, seeing if you can allow the exhale to extend longer than the inhale. And as we focus on the exhale, just seeing if you can invite your body to let go of any tension you've been holding on to. Perhaps you can invite your body to let go of the stresses and worries of the day and truly relax down into the support of the cushion or the chair below. Now, part of our journey as a wild woman is to embody this beautiful thing, this organism in which we live, which we sometimes forget about. And so this is an opportunity for us to feel into all of the different parts of our bodies. I'm going to do a really brief body scan, again, just to help us to land into this moment. And I invite you to be just curious about the different sensations in the body, just allowing them to be there exactly as they are. So beginning at the top of the head, the forehead, the eyebrows and the eyes, the nose and the cheeks and the ears, the lips, the teeth, the tongue and the inside of the mouth, the chin and the jaw, the neck, shoulders and the collarbones. Feeling into sensations in the upper arms and the chest and the back. Feeling into the waist and the elbows, into the lower back and the lower belly, the pelvis, the lower arms and the wrists, the hands and the fingers. Just noticing any sensations present as we go. Feeling into the buttocks and the thighs and the knees, to the lower legs, the ankles and the feet. And just feeling into the whole body. The whole body resting here in this moment. And as we inhabit our body, we can also inhabit our imagination. So I invite you to imagine that you're in a beautiful place in nature. This can be anywhere. Could be in the forest, in the mountains, by the sea, by a lake. You get to choose. And it's a place that feels safe and welcoming. It's your environment. And we're here to meet your wild woman. Your wild woman. And as you look around your landscape, you see a figure in the distance coming towards you. You've called her in and she comes closer and closer until she stands in front of you. What does she look like? Is she familiar? Is she a stranger? What is she wearing? What's the expression on her face? How does she move? What else do you notice about her? Your wild woman has a gift for you. It might be a word. It might be some wisdom. Or it might be an object. And your wild woman invites you to be with her. To be with her in the wild. Where will you go? What will you do? How will you feel? And in our journey with our wild woman, what wisdom can we gain about where we can bring our wild more into our lives? Where have we lost her? And where does she want to return? So from here, this is where we move into our drum journey. Following our wild woman, playing with our wild woman, running with our wild woman, whatever we need to do. This is your opportunity to spend some time with her and to bring back her wisdom. reconnecting with your wild woman, perhaps looking her in the eyes, seeing her with gratitude for whatever you have experienced. And as you look at her, notice how you now feel. And realizing that the wild woman was always you. She's always been there. Maybe you just forgot her for a while. And perhaps together you can make a pact to remember her, to celebrate her, to allow her to emerge. And reaching our arms out to our wild woman, to hold her in an embrace. And you take a step forwards towards one another and into each other, becoming one, as you always were. And as we complete our journey, we're just going to take a moment to come back round. There's no rush here. You might like to feel back into the points of contact of your body against the surface on which you're resting, feeling the breath coming in and out of the body. You might want to bring a little bit of movement to your fingers and your toes, perhaps have a little bit of a stretch and a wriggle. And whenever you're ready, coming back to this space. And I invite you to reflect on, how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling now? So in the shamanic world, we might call this a power retrieval. We are returning to ourselves the power of our wild woman. And this can be a pretty magical thing, you know. And I always feel like this can be a beginning of your remembering. Remembering in those moments in life to go, oh yeah, she's still there. She's still within me, and I can still work with her. I can still live through her. And even though parts of her might have been suppressed in the past, well, maybe I can let her shine a little bit more. Do I dare to do differently? And here's the thing, right? It doesn't have to be radical. You know, we might look at some women and go, wow, I wish I was that brave to be like that. Or I wish I was so liberated that I was able to be my true self. But from my experience, this stuff takes time and we chip away at it. This has been my experience. Just tiny little things I've been able to change or heal or shift have helped me to grow and be the woman I am today and take up space. Before, if you looked at me 10 years ago, I would have been very happy to take up space within the structures I was working within, you know, in accordance to my rank or my job role. But actually the real me was too frightened to come out because it didn't feel safe. So I've done a lot of work around my nervous system and about safety. So we don't have to go all out and be that amazing wild woman. right away. You know, it's not necessarily going to happen like that, but we can just find the glimmers of wild in our life, and those can be different for everybody. You know, so for some of us, it might be just feeling the wind in our hair, or being out in nature, you know, just really really embodying and exploring as we walk the dog, rather than listen to a podcast. Maybe we actually tune into the nature around us. Maybe it's the squelch of the mud under our feet, or perhaps it's hugging a tree, or something very simple like that. Going barefoot, Rebecca says. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's those mini acts of rebellion. So for me, my little playful thing is, if something says don't do something and it's not going to cause, you know, great problems, I'll just go and do it. So if I see a don't walk on the grass, I'm afraid, even though I'm all for nature, there's the little rebellious part of me that goes, I'm going to go walk on that grass, and I'll go and tiptoe across it, right? It can be mini acts of rebellion, standing up for yourself more, standing up against misogyny, standing up against microaggressions. And the more that we call these out, the more that we stand up and for ourselves and for others, the more this is going to be more challenged globally, and we're going to be able to start to bring down or begin to shift structures so that they begin to become more kind and compassionate. One of the key things that I feel we can do is embody our wild through what we wear. So, for example, this evening I was like, what am I going to wear for this Zoom call? What shall I wear? And I was like, well, I'm feeling a bit primal. I'm going to go for the leopard print. And then I love wearing red, so I'm wearing red. And then I love my feather earrings, which are the earrings I often wear when I'm doing my shamanic work. And so I was like, oh, here is my ensemble. Now, this is what makes me feel wild. But what makes you feel wild? You know, maybe it's something green, maybe it's something outdoorsy. You can explore and play with whatever you want. And I would love to hear in the chat, what little thing do you feel that you can do differently, or you can bring more into your life? And one of the lovely things about this is when we can share, it gives other people ideas as well, especially me too, right? So if you have anything, so Rebecca had going barefoot. I'm one for the forest around me is really mossy, so I love rolling around in the moss, squidgy and squelchy. Tree hugging's another one of mine. Any other suggestions? Any other thoughts? Hugging trees always, yep. Wearing my... You have the Lucian Yak vulva dungarees. Oh, I've been after a pair of them. I so want some, you lucky woman. Dancing, yes, Beth, me too. Watering my garden or plants with menstrual blood, yes, I do that too. My devil's ivy is doing really well at the moment. Barefoot on the grass, music playing, feathers, my drum, touching the trees and dancing and talking with birds and trees. Yep, naked swimming, yes, Lizzie. Singing in the woods, Sandria. Lying on the grass, yeah. So there is so many different ways we can embody our inner wild woman, and she can emerge in whatever at whatever pace is right for us. And that's another really important thing. You know, it's important that we explore our edges, and I love exploring my edges, but it's also important we don't dysregulate ourselves. So that's why it's important to take it slow, take it easy, take it one step at a time, and have fun. Like, have so much fun embodying your wild woman, because that's what she's there for. She's the wild one. She's the one that's playful and hedonistic and free. So how can you go and be free? And you know, we can gradually begin to build this, and it is totally possible. I do it. I'm free within my work. So being self-employed is really helpful. But I follow my joy. I go where I want to go, and I don't do the things that I don't want to do. I follow my own path. You were talking about menstrual blood and the plants. So even just hanging out with plants can be a little connection to your wild. And another important thing is making sure you have strong boundaries. So the wild woman has strong boundaries, and maybe have a little reflection in your life. Where can I strengthen my boundaries? Where can I make them a little bit stronger? And then how can I get as much time outside in nature? Now, part of my other work is I'm a forest bathing guide, and 120 minutes per week in nature is the key amount of time for you to spend outdoors. So how can you do that? At the moment, I'm training for an ultra marathon, so I'm spending literally hours out in the mountains, which is wonderful. So I'm really getting that dose of wildness. But how can you bring that health and well-being to you as well? Does anybody have anything else they want to share there? I think we've got a great list of all sorts of wonderful things that we can do. So before we close, I would love to share with you what we've got coming up. Now, actually, what I would love to do is introduce Rebecca and Lucy. So I'm hoping that they will be able to, if I just do the speaker view, yeah, I should be able to do that. So I wonder if Rebecca and Lucy would like to unmute yourselves and just say a quick hi. So Rebecca is one of my co-directors at Lakeland Wellbeing, and Lucy is one of my co-facilitators. So we, in March, the 20th to the 22nd, are running a Wild Woman retreat. And I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to just share, what does your wild mean to you? What is really embodying the wild woman within mean to you, and how does it show up?
I automatically go to that thing of feeling properly feral, of not giving a fuck of what other people think of me, especially out in nature. I definitely associate it with being out in nature, being a little bit feral, finding enjoyment through exploration and play. I think that's really key for me as well. And saying yes to things I'd perhaps normally say no to, as in, you know, those new experiences, things that scare me a little bit, not too much, but scare me a little bit. And my automatic response is, oh, I don't think I can do that, is actually going, yeah, give it a go and let's see. So that's my wild woman.
Thank you. Lucy, do you want to share?
She dances under the stars. She is out in nature. She is barefoot. She runs barefoot in the rain. It's that embodiment of that feeling of freedom, of light, and just being connected to all the elements. And yes, like Rebecca, saying yes and agreeing to do things that scare you.
Yep, for sure. Pushing those edges. Yeah,
Yep, stepping
I
up and
love
showing
it.
up.
I love
Yeah.
it. Super. Thank you so much for sharing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close our circle energetically. So this work that we've done within our container is really powerful. And when we do this with lots of women together, that power is amplified as well. So I would be so curious to hear how you are embodying and embracing your wild woman as you go forwards over this next few weeks and months. So we're going to close our circle the opposite way. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to invite you to pop in the chat how you are feeling now. So how am I feeling in this moment now? And if it's possible to do that, that would be absolutely wonderful. And then we can bring our circle to an energetic close. So we've got energized, excited, lifted, excited but tired, like an eagle flying, assured, excited to step even further out of my comfort zone, peaceful, balanced, freer. And what else? We've got lighter. Amazing. And I'm feeling very joyful and just excited for more wild women to emerge. Optimistic, connected, wonderful. So in reverse order, we're going to thank ourselves for being here, for showing up, for embodying and embracing our wild woman. We're going to thank Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, the Star Nations for holding space for us as we do this work. We are going to give our thanks to Pachamama, to Mama Earth below. So we're going to pop our hands towards the ground and just give our warmth and gratitude to her. We are then going to turn to the north, and we're going to say to the ancient spirits, the north and the element of earth, our deepest gratitude for holding us in this space and for helping us to bring in our inner wise woman. Hail and farewell. We're then going to turn to the west, and we're going to give our gratitude to the west and the element of water and the compassion and the healing that might have come through in our inner wise woman and our capacity to dream. Hail and farewell. Did I say wise woman? I meant wild woman. We're then going to face the south. So we're going to turn and face the direction of the south, and we're going to give our gratitude to the element of fire. So for giving us the courage and the passion and the excitement and determination to embody our wild woman, and to give us the passion to move on going forwards into this year of the fire horse with a great load of enthusiasm and passion. Hail and farewell. And then finally to the ancient spirits of the east and the element of air, giving our gratitude as always for the winds of change that it brings, for the clarity we may have received tonight, the insight and the inner guidance for however we're meant to move forwards. Hail and farewell. So our circle is energetically open. Thank you so much. What we would love to do is to share with you what's next. So we have so many different free options, and also those that go in different scales. So this is a series of 3. So we've got the wild woman. We've then in May, we've got the warrior woman archetype, and we have got the wise woman, which is coming up in October. So those are 2 more of these free Zoom sessions and circles. We've then got if anybody wants to dive a little bit deeper into this and get really juicy with it in the wilds of the Lake District, in connection with nature and in connection with a beautiful circle of women, we've got our Wild Woman Retreat, which is coming up on the 20th to the 22nd of March, which Rebecca and Lucy are supporting me on. And this is a proper deep dive. So you'll know if you're ready for this or not. You'll know if it's like calling you. Does it call your soul? It's not always easy work. You know, there's stuff there some big stuff that might need to shift. But what we can guarantee is that it'll be a beautiful immersion and everything will unfold as it's meant to. So that one is not far. It's pretty fully booked, actually. It's not fully booked. It's got, I think we've only got 4 spaces left on it. So if you want to come along to that, I would invite you to get in quick. You're welcome to talk to either me, Rebecca, or Lucy about that if you have any questions. We've then got on the 25th of April, and this is my favourite, so you'll know that you might know, I follow the Wheel of the Year. And so we've got Beltane coming up there, the Celtic Fire Festival, which is my favourite one. So it's traditional to jump the Belfire. So what we do instead, we walk across it. So this is a fabulous synergy of the masculine and the feminine coming together. It's all about creative energy, it's all that fiery sun energy, and it's going to be totally awesome. So that's on the 25th of April. We then have our Warrior Woman Retreat coming up in the summer, which is a firewalking and axe throwing type retreat where we're really going to push those edges that we were talking about earlier on. And then we have our Wise Woman Retreat in the winter time, and that's where we really embody our inner wisdom, get in touch with our intuition and be the support that's needed in this world, like bringing our wisdom through. So those are the trio of Divine Feminine retreats that we do. And then every month we have a moon circle. So the moon circle is either run by me or lovely Lucy. And yeah, what else do we have? So this is done under my Jen Maxwell business, and I also have a business called Lakeland Wellbeing, which is a community interest company. I mentioned that earlier. Rebecca is one of my directors, and Lucy does some lovely work with Reiki with me, and so we teach Reiki, and we are just bringing in a shamanic practitioner training course as well. So if anybody's interested about that, and then I'm hopping off to India in 2 weeks time. I'm going to India for a month to do some amazing training with a fantastic traditional tantra teacher that I've been following for a long time, so I'm really excited about that. And when I come back, I am opening up my mentoring and coaching offer again, but there's only going to be 1, maybe 2 people on that, because I really like to give you my focus and my full attention as much as I can. So if anybody's interested in that, that's your next option. So I'm going to stick around, and so will Rebecca and Lucy, just for a moment. If anybody has any questions about the retreat, about any of the work that we've done, any reflections on the wild woman, and I wish you the most gorgeous evening. I hope, we're nearly, what time are we on now? 10 past 9. If you need to pop off now, that's absolutely great. If you want to stay on and chat to us, we're going to be here. And I would love to see you sometime in the future. Thank you so much for joining us. And to those who are watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay.